I want to talk with you a little bit about the reel we had posted blew up, right? We said, I think at the time of recording, we have like 480,000 views. I think close to like 400,000 likes, or I'm sorry, 40,000 likes. Anyways, blew up, but it sort of makes us think, there's a real need for content like that. People certainly are responsive to it. And I want to get with you, Clay, and ask you, like, what do you think people are responding to with that content specifically?
I think it has to do with relationships and marriages in general. I think most, and I don't know what the percentage is, and I'm not going to try to guess, but I think most relationships are not done right, and they're bad. On the surface, they may be good, but on the inside, they're bad. And a lot of it is a lack of education and knowledge as we were growing up. I don't know about y'all, but nobody ever taught me what discernment was, like specifically discernment. Like discernment is basically your ability to see things for what they are, not for what they project themselves to be or perceive themselves to be, or what someone else wants you to think, or even more, your fear of what it might become. So I think most people are either in a toxic relationship, they're in a marriage where there's no love or intimacy, or they're single and lonely, whatever. But I think, God designed us to have a need for community and affection and love. And it's like, I think so many people do marriages wrong, that there's just this overwhelming need of wisdom and guidance in that realm. I always heard that if you fix the family, you fix the world. And all these broken families and fatherless kids and divorce and all this is like, if we can get to the root of it, which that's why God made the covenant of marriage so important. If we can get to the root of it, it's going to have worldwide benefits. It's going to change the world. So it's crazy, because I used to have a passion for prison ministry and addiction and recovery and all that. And it's like, now that I've come through that and I'm getting to help people with divorce and celibacy and purity and relationship stuff. And now it's like, I love it. I love this. I love being able to help people. I love people reaching out and asking me questions. So it's just a matter of using your pain for purpose. So,
it's like you came out of your own storm and now you're being able to tell the story.
Which is God's plan. That's why he allows us to go through things, is because he wants us to be able to, I forget what verse it is in the Bible, but it says, comfort those the way you've been comforted. And so you get to use your test. And there's, I think we talked about this maybe a little bit on the last one, but there's such a skewed view of divorce in the church. You go to anybody within the church and they're going to say, oh, God hates divorce. Oh, don't get divorced. You got to stick it out. And it's like, when you're in a toxic situation or you're in a terrible marriage, if you are a believer and you turn to the church, a lot of times they're going to give you that, which is true. God does hate divorce, but he hates sin more than he hates divorce. And so it's what I learned through my situation, what I've been able to help other people with is, if God never ordained that marriage to begin with, if you didn't pray and ask God, is this spouse for me? If you didn't discern properly, if you didn't date properly, if you built your marriage on premarital sex and sin, like, that marriage was never ordained to begin with. So God doesn't have any obligation to save you from that.
Yeah. So that's interesting. I mean, you look back, we filter everything through the Word of God, right?
Right.
We can look back on the past and be able to see circumstances where similar things have played out. David, and Bathsheba.
Yeah.
And their relationship and the way that it came about and the way that the baby was, conceived and the heartache that David had to experience after that.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't ordained.
The consequence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Samson and Delilah.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's just like anything in life. If you do it God's way, it works. If you don't, it's not going to work. Like it may work, but there's going to be all kinds of troubles and pains. And when you get with someone you're equally yoked with, it's pretty easy. You have little issues, but it's not supposed to be that hard. It's supposed to be fruitful and a blessing and a helper and all these things. And it's like, if you don't do it right, why are you surprised that you're miserable, or why are you surprised that it fell apart, or you're lonely, or there's no intimacy, or you hate each other, or whatever. You are on one side of the house and they're on the other. Like, you didn't do it right. You built it on sin, or you jumped into something too soon, or your desires were off. Discernment, I think, is the biggest issue. I think the second one is desires. What you desire, God gives us the desires of our heart. So if you're in the dating scene, you're young or old or whatever, and your desire is to find a man with money, God might give you a man with money, but he might be spiritually dead. He might be verbally abusive. He might be a drug addict, an alcoholic. Like, he's going to give you the desires of your heart. Yeah. So what a lot of people need to understand is, when you're dating and you're looking for a husband or a wife, you have to change the desires from what you want to what you need. And that comes from, I don't want a man with money. I don't want a man with status, or I don't want a woman with money or a woman with status. Like, you have to change it to, I want someone who has the fruit of the Spirit. I want someone who is pleasing to God. I want somebody who's drawn to God. I want somebody who knows how to lead. So, like, when you change your desires, that's when everything starts to change, because he will give you the desires of your heart.
Guys, if you like this clip and want to see the episode in full, go ahead and click here. And if you want to see another clip, click here.